Supreme Arcanus, Chapter 1, Broken Men. In his old rented apartment on the top floor of Mega Building 42 in the decaying southern suburbs of Néon City, David opened his eyes, waking from a nightmare, only to find himself in another. His Neuralink helmet was still strapped to his head, its glowing interface flickering with the name of the latest VR MMO RPG, Supreme Arcanus. He had logged out after euphoric hours of gameplay, falling asleep shortly after activating an immersive rain simulation inside a dark cabin deep in the heart of a digital forest. The sound of the artificial storm cradled his weary mind, as if the real world no longer had permission to reach him. The thunder roared on the wooden roof, as if the world itself was about to collapse. It was his twisted way of seeking peace. Slowly he removed the Neuralink from his head. He stared at the faded ceiling, eyes still blurred, his consciousness dragging itself back to the land of the living, like a corpse through mud. The torpor still called to him the warm comfort of blankets, the sleep, the darkness, the void, but the exhaustion rooted deep in his bones made true rest impossible. It was the weight of too many long days, too many short nights, and far too much pain. I shouldn't have played so long or slept so late, he thought bitterly. Even after a few hours of sleep, he felt like he hadn't slept at all. His body ached in more places than he could count. Every muscle was a cruel reminder of the life he lived. Against his body's will, he rose like a reanimated corpse, the old mattress groaning beneath him. He sat on the edge of the bed as if staring into the abyss, gathering the strength to command his exhausted existence. When the mind finally beat the weight of emptiness, he forced his muscles to obey. He slipped on his worn boots with heavy, almost ceremonial motions, a ritual repeated every morning before facing another day in hell. His right knee burned as always, a natural result of combat wounds and years of grueling labor in an unforgiving industrial world. The pain was a constant, persistent companion. Faithful. He was used to it, or rather he had given up on complaining. No point, nothing would ever get better. His mental clock screamed, not much time, the shift would start soon. Even with his body begging for more minutes, he had to move. At least the factory was relatively close. He stumbled to the bathroom, turned on the faucet, and splashed his face. The freezing water shook off some of the torpor, but didn't work miracles. He brushed his teeth with mechanical movements, and upon lifting his eyes to the cracked mirror, he muttered, "Damn, I look awful." His deep, hoarse voice sounded alien in that cramped, dimly lit space. The calendar marked the end of the year, 3997. He was only 25, but his body told a different story, one written in pain, steel, and scars. His bare chest revealed it all. Old wounds, poorly healed, long scars snaking like dead roots. One slashed across his torso, another ran from his shoulder to the prosthetic that replaced his left arm souvenirs from a war no one wanted to remember, especially not him. His once bronze skin had grown pale, almost sickly, a punishment for living in a city choked by smoke and concrete, starved of sunlight. Dark rings hollowed out beneath sunken eyes. His black wavy hair was brittle, lifeless, slowly giving up. And his eyes, once calm and black, were now tinged with red, as if the world had burned inside them. He put on his black uniform, wrinkled and reeking with metal from previous days, then threw on a black trench coat worn from time. With messy hair and a body still heavy from sleep, he climbed the final stairwell to the rusting rooftop of Mega Building 42. The door creaked, like everything else in this crumbling world. Nothing escaped rust, dust, or time. Everything insisted on reminding you it was dying. The morning air hit him with a damp, cold gust, laden with soot and smoke, the bitter perfume of a city flirting with nuclear winter. He walked a few meters toward the building's northern edge. With the wind at his back, he stood there, hands in his pockets, contemplating the miserable landscape stretched before his eyes. Cracked concrete, hanging wires, and a gray fog covering everything like a veil of slow death. Then, without haste, he unzipped his pants, pulled himself out with the same nonchalance as lighting a cigarette, and let it stream freely, pissing directly onto the world below. From the top of Mega Building 42, when the wind blew just right, he could water half the district. That was society in a nutshell, one pissing on the other day after day in this fucked up world. It was still dawn in Neon City. In truth, the city lay under near eternal night, shrouded in black clouds and thick layers of industrial smog, a classic symptom of massive metropolises. Despite the perpetual darkness, the city never really slept. In the distance, the sound of heavy vehicles echoed endlessly. It filled the air with a constant, oppressive metallic noise, so intense it could wake anyone, even the most exhausted. Neon lights cut through the darkness like blades of vibrant color, painting the decaying facades in artificial hues. That was the reason for the name, Neon City. Located at the heart of the third-tier state known as 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗘, Neon City housed a colossal military-industrial complex, a true human anthill dedicated solely to the manufacture of war machines. High above, the wind blew hard. His body swayed, just inches away from a brutal fall hundreds of meters down to the ground. David's eyes scanned the distant streets below, watching the uninterrupted flow of bodies and machines. Far off, colossal factories cut the horizon, their chimneys spitting smoke and fire like the guts of a starving beast. There, the most varied instruments of destruction were forged, and in this rotten world, the hunger for war made the work a daily torture, slow, corrosive, inescapable. He was standing at the edge. One step forward, and it would all be over. Maybe that was freedom, or just a one-way ticket to some eternal torture in a nameless corner of hell. David stood there in silence, staring at the twisted skyline as if trying to dissect reality with his eyes. Sometimes he felt like all he needed was a single moment of sudden clarity, a brief flash of understanding that would rip him from the shadows and throw him into something greater. Oh, it was painful, as if something vital was always out of reach, as if the entire world was on the brink of making sense. But one last piece was missing, hidden maliciously far away, still, motionless. Long minutes of pure emptiness devoured him, as if he waited for a reason that would never come, or for the courage to leave it all behind. Deep down, he knew. If he jumped, he'd regret it halfway down, but there'd be no going back. And so he moved, but not forward. With effort, he forced his body to take a step back, then another, and another. Each movement fought against something invisible, a weight not on his muscles, but his soul. He descended the stairs as if returning from personal limbo. Speaking of torture, it was time to work. Lateness was never welcome anywhere, especially not at K-Law Heavy Systems. From the rooftop across the street, the Reaper watched intently. He had received his orders just recently. A new target had been detected. Lucky for him, it was close. A wild smile cut across his dark face as his eyes tracked every movement of the target. He could have acted. He had the angle, the timing. The calculations were perfect. But honestly, it was far more entertaining to watch the man at the brink staring into the abyss like it was an old friend. His body, wrapped in a liquid black armor of dense texture, was ready. It would only take a single step. Just one. But the step never came. "Shame," he muttered, licking his lips with a long, inhumanly black tongue. The grin opened into a grotesque arc, revealing teeth black and sharp as dozens of razors. The man stepped back from the edge. There was still time, and that amused him. There was something about that target, a spark too familiar, too close to his own. He could strike now, finish the job, end the hunt. But he chose to wait. The mission data was intriguing. He was absolutely certain this man would become one of the best. So he decided to savor a little more of that bitter despair before descending upon him in a dark alley. Another chronicle of supreme Arcanus, forged in shadow by 𝗦𝗡𝗏𝗡, the one who defies darkness. Support the work. Patreon.com/𝗦𝗡𝗏𝗡. Official YouTube Supreme Arcanus Official.